The average American drinks over 1,000 cups of coffee per year. That makes caffeine the most consumed drug of all, even more than heroin. And the coffee industry in America alone is worth 1.3% of the entire US economy. This drug was the single reason why the US grew from a colony of farmers to the most powerful empire seen in the history of the world. But how does a population hooked on a substance that hinders sleep accomplish this without any side effects? First, we gotta go back 200 years. It's the early 1700s in the American colonies, decades before the United States was born. As part of the British Empire at the time, the local population followed English laws and culture. A big part of that culture was drinking tea imported from England. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, attention is drawn to a new trending product, coffee. With the emerging transatlantic trade network, North Americans got access to goods from all over the world. So when the colonials tried coffee for the first time, they were blown away. Many were convinced they could make a fortune selling it across the colonies. But to their surprise, no one was buying. Instead, they preferred their traditional tea, which dominated the market. This lack of demand for coffee became detrimental to its sellers. As long as the tea was around, there was no future for a coffee industry. But what happens next is so revolutionary that it changes not only coffee, but the world forever. In 1773, the British government started taxing tea on the American colonists. This mistake sparked mass outrage across the colonies. The colonies felt it was oppressive and brutally unfair. So, in response, they protested by dumping all English tea into the Boston Harbor. This rebellion united all 13 American states to fight for independence from England. From here on out, all British tea would be rejected as a sign of defiance, and anyone seen drinking it was a traitor. This led demand for tea to plummet and the perfect opportunity for coffee to catch its big break. As the alternative beverage, everyone switched to coffee and even perceived it as patriotic. So, this lack of competition sparked a meteoric rise in coffee sales across the colonies. Even the founding fathers, including George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin, approved of calling it the favorite drink of the civilized world. Fast forward to 1861, when the American Civil War broke out. Coffee culture had grown so much that both the North and South replaced alcohol with coffee rations for their soldiers. They realized that coffee not only boosted morale amongst the soldiers, but it kept them more focused and able to stay awake longer. Since it proved more effective soldiers on the battlefield, they did the same thing for World War I. Even back home, coffee and alcohol were the two booming markets on every street corner in America. As profitable as they both were, something unexpected happens a few years after the First World War. By 1920, a new age of culture and economic prosperity lifted the country from the aftermath of World War I. Despite that, the government notices problems rising all over the country, such as crime, poverty, and domestic abuse. So, what do they blame this on? Alcohol. Soon enough, they introduced the 18th Amendment, making alcohol illegal. This prohibition era cut off the supply of alcohol, which only made coffee consumption skyrocket. Even though many scientists questioned the safety of caffeine, no one could prove it had any negative side effects. So the FDA allowed it to remain unrestricted. Coffee companies were killing it with record-high sales thanks to minimal competition. At last, the caffeine industry was beginning to unleash its true potential. Yet, little did they know their world would get flipped upside down only a decade later. In October 1929, the Wall Street stock market crashes, causing widespread panic everywhere, which overwhelms the vault's cash reserves. As a result, many banks shut down, businesses go bankrupt, and everyone's life savings vanishes. It doesn't take long before the economy sharply declines, plunging the country into the Great Depression. Until now, 80% of the world's coffee exports went to America. After the Wall Street crash, the demand for it plummets everywhere. Coffee shops go out of business, and coffee-producing countries like Brazil fall into a recession too. Accounting for 60% of their exports, coffee made Brazil's economy flourish. But relying on it was a big mistake. After the market crash, the lack of demand causes Brazil's GDP to fall by 22%. A crisis of this magnitude left them with a vast surplus of their own supply, with no one to sell to. Problem was, most of their coffee beans had a short shelf life that would inevitably go to waste. If the surplus went bad, they would lose billions of dollars. Alarmed by this, they needed a solution, fast. So in 1930, the Brazilian government flew to Switzerland and approached Nestlé, the world's largest food manufacturer. What Brazil needed was a way to preserve their coffee surplus from going bad. and to get people to consume their product again. This way, they could cut their losses and recover from this economic disaster. So, Nestle agreed to help and assigned a chemist named Dr. Max Morgenthaler to this project. If coffee was going to make a comeback, it would need to evolve. Up to now, coffee was good, but it was nowhere near its true potential. So after 7 years of research, Dr. Morgenthaler finally came to a groundbreaking answer. On April 1st, 1939, he revealed a soluble powdered coffee that maintained its aroma and taste while being incredibly convenient to make. They named it instant coffee and launched it under Nestle's new coffee brand, Nescafé.
Oh, but I'll just be a second. I'm using new Nescafé instant coffee. I just put 4 teaspoonsful of Nescafé into my coffee server. That'll make 4 cups, 1 for each of us. And now I just add boiling water, stir, and it's all ready.
This publicity stunt spiked mass interest in coffee again, reviving its comeback. But it's only until what happens after that everything changes for coffee and the world forever. Japan orchestrates a surprise attack on the Hawaiian Islands of Pearl Harbor, destroying a majority of the U.S. naval fleet.
By naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
With World War II in full swing, coffee demand soars thanks to Uncle Sam supplying instant coffee rations to the entire U.S. military.
Hey, is that coffee I smell?
It sure is, Mac. Do you want some?
While many preferred the taste of freshly brewed coffee to instant coffee, the soluble powdered form was far more efficient and simple to use. So when companies started advertising it at supermarkets back home, they were astonished by the results. Before World War II, the U.S. Drug Administration recorded 31 gallons of coffee consumption per capita. After the war, it shot up to 46 gallons, which is the highest record in history, including today. But why is that? Well, with all the men out fighting in the war, the industrial workforce left a vacuum that now had to be replaced by women. The needs of the war effort depended on them to be at the factories producing tanks, bullets, planes, and more. But see, there was a problem. It's the mid-1940s, a time where most women didn't work before the war, so it wasn't a surprise when they didn't have the same stamina as men to work long, grueling shifts. This meant slower production rates and fewer suppliers reaching the military. Ultimately, it could cost them the war. If the Allies were to defeat fascism, something needed to change. That's when factory owners came up with a clever solution. By giving the women breaks with free coffee, they then worked faster and didn't tire as easily. Soon enough, production speed accelerated and the war economy was running like a well-oiled machine. It was so effective that they started implementing coffee breaks into employment contracts. This expanded job opportunities like working night shifts, something that's still prevalent today. Even after winning the war in 1945, people were still hooked on caffeine. So when all the troops returned home, dinners grew popular for serving coffee with tasty and affordable meals. Not to mention the convenience of being open 24/7 to serving customers with any work schedule. Over the next decades, dinners remained a cultural icon that energized a nation full of workers, pumping the American economy. From factory floors to Wall Street's boardrooms, everything ran on caffeine. Instead of trying to minimize dependency to this drug, America embraced it to fuel its workaholic identity. Coffee wasn't just a drink, but a symbol of the American dream. This land of opportunity cultivated a population with a coffee addiction to making America an engine that never sleeps. This relentless work culture rapidly outpaced other countries, turning the USA into an economic juggernaut. This trajectory would propel America to having a GDP today of $30 trillion. On top of that, they would build up the largest military ever seen in history and also own the strongest global reserve currency. But before this would happen, the coffee industry had something ominous brewing in the background. You see, despite this golden age of industrialization, coffee demand suddenly began dropping. This time, it wouldn't be another recession, but instead a new rivalry. As more alternative beverages got introduced to the market, there's one that gathers enough momentum to come in direct competition with coffee.
Only Coca-Cola gives you that refreshing new feeling. Sing Coca-Cola, refreshes best.
Trending drinks called sodas start flooding the market, offering a wide variety of options such as Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, Fanta, and Sprite. These companies went as far as direct marketing campaigns for breakfast consumption. Soft drinks were evolving to be so tasty with caffeine that many customers began drinking it instead of coffee. In fact, by the 1980s, soft drinks surpassed coffee consumption. If coffee were to keep its competitive edge, it would need to evolve too. If only someone would have the ingenuity to reshape the coffee culture worldwide. An ambitious entrepreneur, Howard Schultz, became the CEO of a coffee bean retailer named Starbucks. Until now, the company had operated 17 stores that only sold coffee beans. However, under new leadership, Howard had different plans. During a trip to Italy, he was obsessed with the vibes of Italian coffee culture and how immersed it was to social life. His vision recognized tremendous potential in creating a vibrant setting of a third place being between work and home. He would imagine a community-focused atmosphere where people could gather to enjoy premium coffee with a personalized customer experience. To scratch this itch, Howard tested it out and waited. This was an instant hit. People were flooding his stores with longer lines forming. Schultz harnessed this momentum and directed it to aggressive expansion, where in just 5 years, he opened up 165 stores. By 1992, the company went public, selling shares with an initial stock price of $17 per share. Today, it's $100 per share, with the company being worth over $100 billion. By 1996, Starbucks had grown internationally and became a cultural symbol for coffee. It evolved to become an affordable luxury with a personalized connection to customers like using their name. By also employing comfortable seating with free Wi-Fi, each store also offers a cozy and productive environment. Not only does Starbucks sell quality coffee, but they also created a variety of drinks like Frappuccinos to widen target audiences across their 35,000 stores worldwide. Inspired by Starbucks' monumental success, many small businesses have opened their own cafes, further exacerbating coffee culture. If you thought this story was interesting, wait until you watch this next one right here. See you there.